your two other times?
Oh, my one. Well, it happened in 17. So then it happened in 22. I may have used it. I can't remember.
How are you and your wife growing into like Bloomington?
Loving it. She really likes it a lot. I love the downtown. A lot of great places to shop and eat. The campus is beautiful. We love our neighborhood, our neighbors, people we've met. Really a great walking area. We got a nice house. We got a pool and a tennis court and a basketball court and a putting green, and so we can take recruits out there. And summer when there's maybe not a lot to do and keep them busy. And but we're undefeated right now, so it's easy to love it. Now it's produce time. Now time really to quit talking and start doing.
Did you have any position changes after the spring, and how would you assess Jacob McIntyre and Nick Tuber, how they're doing at their spot?
Yeah. Nothing earth-shattering in terms of position changes. That doesn't mean in August camp there couldn't be some tweaks. I thought both those guys came out of spring, learned a new position, had some good moments. And, the one thing I'll say is when you're introduced to new stuff in spring ball, you're a lot better last half of spring. But when you go back to August camp, the amount of improvement, because now guys are just playing and not thinking. You know what I mean? And so I'm looking for a lot more consistency in performance from our guys, doing what they're coached to do. 11 guys doing their job. Guys playing with great effort, play in, play out. I'm looking for that a lot more than maybe we got it in the spring when they were thinking so much.
And they're sticking with those positions for our end and two at safety?
As of today, yes.
Coach, one of the guys you brought was Mike Haydick. How big was it to get him to come back and be kind of the quarterback of that offensive line right there at the center position?
Yeah, that was huge. 4-year starter. Was going to test his value in the NFL draft because, when I got in there, like I said, the whole line was in the portal, and the right tackle, right guard, and center ended up leaving. We kept the left tackle. So to get Mike back, that was a pleasant surprise, and then we slid him into center. And we feel like we have 3 or 4 guys that can snap, and that's one thing Bob does a great job at, Bob Bostad, is, moving guys around, creating that depth, seeing how the pieces best fit together if this guy's not in the game. But guys played a lot of football, and so that's huge.
The guys you had out because of surgeries and things in the spring, has everybody kind of come back from a clean bill of health?
Yeah, everybody's back. Been in the summer conditioning program with Derek. We're talking Linnell Carr, James Carpenter, James Walker, Vincent Sneed. In the back end, I don't think there's anybody. Kidwell on offense. I think that's it.
Curt went at a new school with new players, new conference, players you haven't coached yet. What's been the biggest adjustment for you, and how do you sort of approach that as a coach?
I don't really look at it that way. I go to work and I got my things I got to get done because, they have to adjust to me too. They ain't played us either. And, they put things on tape and you study against that. Although opponents study in the spring is becoming harder and harder because you don't know who's playing for who anymore. It's hard. You almost do it by coordinator now. Like I said, December was turbulent. You step foot on campus, you got 10 offensive starters in the portal, half your defense. But in 3 weeks, to bring 22 new guys in that were all 2-3 year starters, all conference production numbers, character, I felt really good about that. And then the winter phase, spring portal recruiting, I felt really smooth when you got, I didn't have to coach up 10 new coaches. You know what I mean? The whole offense was with me except the line coach. And defensively, I don't mess with the defense a lot. I'll maybe chime in here or there. So, and then the strength and conditioning guy, he's with your team more than anybody. So, that makes for a smoother transition.
Coach, kind of from the jump, you've been very confident that Indiana's not just a program that can be a consistent winner in this conference, it can be a team that can start winning. Where does that extra confidence in you?
Well, I guess, having confidence in the past and being used to confidence and having a blueprint that's produced results and big-time first-year turnarounds and losing programs, or even the winning program, JMU, they were 9-4 the year before, we're 14-2 year one. I guess that's first and foremost. And number two, I'm not going to, tolerate not being successful. I want to make that clear right off the bat. And then number three, it's a new day and age in football where with the portal, you can change your team real quick. And fortunately, I was given the resources to do that. And I knew when we came in, I started interviewing the old players that we need a lot of new faces. And fortunately, they did me a favor by leaving.
Curt, when you were at Elon, you had to build a winning tradition. What relates to this experience from that one, and what doesn't relate in terms of trying to build a winning tradition here?
I think very similar. And the blueprint really is the same. If anything, it's improved because as you move up, the tactics improve and you try to improve yourself, and you should improve every year. But it's very, very similar. And look, we went up to Toledo in the opener and got beat, but really played hard. And Toledo won the MAC that year. So I felt good about it. We went down to Furman game 2, kicked a field goal, 3 seconds left. And then we won 8 in a row. And I'm telling you, they all went down the last play. Hail Mary, missed field goal, interception, no time left. It was like you couldn't make it up. But we won those close games. And, we're going to have to win those close games here. And last year, I don't know if we finished number one in one-score games, but I know at some point deep in the year we were number one, which was new to us at JMU. We were used to winning big. But for various reasons, that was the case.
But you have a lot of experience on this team. Guys going into year 4, 5, and 6. What does that say to the maturity of this team?
Yeah, like I said, we have experience. I mean, when you got to go to the portal like we did, you got to recruit some one-year guys, quite a few. Like I'm ecstatic when we go in the portal and get a 2-year guy, a 3-year guy. Wow. But so there's like 31, 32, 33 seniors on this team. We're going to be doing this again next year. But flip side of that, got a lot of guys that played a lot of football, right? Which is a good thing, and played successful football.
Curt, did you see a major change in your players over the summer, physically from Derek's strength?
Yes. Took a major stride forward. He's really good at that. And there were some guys that really made very significant progress, but as a team, absolutely. Are we 100% in terms of being where we want to be with every guy and their ability to fight through things when it's tough and not giving in? No, there's a few we got to work on yet. But we're a heck of a lot further ahead than where we were in December or even at the end of spring ball.
Curt, you mentioned the turbulence that you may have had. You want to go? You mentioned the turbulence before, just bringing in all those guys and how hard it was to get them there. But now that they are here, is it almost kind of nice when you have that many fresh faces that are as new to this as you are with the program?
Yeah.
Does it make it easier to install things?
And veteran guys that have had success. Yeah, I think there's a value in a guy that plays all 12 games or 11 out of 12 games, and he's done it for 3 years. There's an intangible factor there, a stick-to-itiveness versus a guy that's second, third team at a top 15 school that hadn't quite put it together yet, or you know what I mean? So like the hardest decision I had was who to bring to media day, because I promise you I could have brought 15 different guys here, that are really high character guys, great workers, and have played winning football. So now, in saying that doesn't mean we don't have our areas that we're, that we got to shore up.
Curt, taking over the program right now, you've got 4 new teams coming into conference, member divisions. Does that present any challenges in year 1 for you, or how are you kind of looking at that with the changing landscape?
Well, they're a little bit new. You got to put a little extra time into UCLA, and then the head coach leaves. But they named the defensive coach a coordinator, so the scheme will generally stay the same. They lost a lot of players, which for us is good. Offensively, you got a new coordinator. They didn't do a whole lot in their spring game that you can really see that tells you very much. We're going to only have 1 game on them. They play Hawaii, and then they're open. All right? Washington will have enough tape on, and there was enough Arizona tape. We watched them on offense, and defensive coordinators knew. But but on the flip side, they got to learn about us too. So every year you play who you play, and that's our job to have them ready, have a great plan, get them an execute plan.
When you talk about rebuilding a program and implementing a culture, how much of that work kind of happens in spring and summer, and how much still needs to happen? And I guess what do you feel like still needs to happen in terms of implementing that culture?
It happens every day in terms of your standards, expectations, and accountability. You're building a culture, a mindset, and an identity every single day. And you are getting better, you're getting worse, and never staying the same. If you're comfortable, you're getting worse. If you're striving, you're getting better. And you got to get the team to play like you want them to play. Smart, disciplined, poised, fast, physical, relentless, handle success, failure. You're 2 scores down, how are you going to react, right? JMU, 3 scores down, no panic, come back, win the game. I saw a number of times on tape last year where you get 2 scores down, all of a sudden, holy cow, what's going on here? So every day is critical and every day is important. And the summer was important in terms of building a physical foundation and still working on some techniques and fundamentals. And now you go to camp, you're promoting competition, player development, scheme development, but also looking for now those intangibles that get you over the hump, in all those games, consistency and performance, and how they react to things and what have you. So, not a great answer there at the end. A lot goes into it, and see what happens.
You mentioned the challenges of scouting at UCLA. Hey, challenges to traveling out west. I think you guys did it last year. James Madison, Utah State, scheduling. Anything you learned from that to kind of help the.
On away games, I like to leave as late as possible, get in the hotel as late as possible. I like them to be able to go to class, not have that disrupted, have a team meeting, have our walkthrough, give them a snack, get on the plane, get to the hotel, eat, meeting, bed. I don't like hanging around the hotel. UCLA's 4:30 Pacific time. If we get in there 9 o'clock, now I know there's 3 hours difference, so maybe it's 8. But we get in there around then, eat a meal, decide on a meeting or not, because we'll have a meeting. No, it's not a big deal.
Do you sense a kind of excitement around your team just to be able to go play there and play at the Rose Bowl?
Yeah, for all the wrong reasons. We're just going to an old stadium to kick somebody's ass, But that's not, when I say that, that's not directed toward UCLA. That's the objective every week. Look, I know that 1967 we were there and we haven't been there since and blah, 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 blah. Okay? We're not going out on a cruise or for a tour. We're going out to play a football game. We got a job to do.
Coach, you talk a lot about production over potential, and when you're talking about a group of 5 player that has played a lot, what's your process for evaluating whether or not that's going to translate to Power 5?
Not a whole lot different than a high school guy, really. There's certain position-specific criteria. You got to have ankle, knee, hip flexibility to play this game. Start-stop game, you generate power when you have ankle, knee, hip flexibility. And then every position's got sort of different criteria. But at the end of the day, at those skill positions, receiver speed, separation, contested catches, ball skills. Is there a little bit of an unknown in terms of how it's going to yeah, sure there is. But I'm confident that, to me it's more important to get the team buy-in on how we want to play in, play out. Can this guy be trusted day in, day out, rep in, rep out? How's he going to react when things are tough? How's he going to react when we're ahead by 2 scores? You know what I mean? It's those things. That's a bigger concern to me than how it's all going to translate.
We're all 3 guys here today. Guy from a new program altogether, JMU guy, a guy who's been there already. What were some of the traits that you noticed when you wanted to build this roster in those 3? And what were some of the things that you felt you had to build up, not only just them, but the rest of the team?
Well, that was intentional. I wanted to bring a returner. I wanted to bring a transfer that was not from JMU and a transfer that was from JMU. And those were the 3 guys that we chose. We could have chose others. And they're all guys that, they're not perfect. They're not perfect. Okay, we're dealing with young people. Even when you're dealing with old people, it ain't perfect, right? And what we require is a lot. But, they're dependable, they're committed, they're disciplined, they have positive energy, rub off on others in a positive way, and they represent the principles and values of the program.
Curt, where does the Purdue rivalry in the game at the end of the season fit into what you need to accomplish as a coach?
I haven't really put much thought into that. I'm kind of a one day at a time guy, one game at a time guy. They're game 12. They've beaten us 3 years in a row. Indiana's last year was 2019, I think, in double overtime. In-state rivalries are a great thing. Rivalries are a great thing. We want to be so good, we're a lot of people's rival, right? So when we get to that week, we'll concern ourselves with it. We had a rival in the Sun Belt. They made Coastal Carolina our rival because, they were really catching fire and beating everybody, Jamie Chadwell and them. Yeah. We beat their ass 47-7, 54-10. But,
You mentioned it kind of up front pretty quickly, I think, after you were hired on social media. Did you hope that importance of that game, especially when you have a roster that includes so many transfers, do you hope that happens sort of organically? Do you guys, as a coaching staff, try to...
Okay, and you're saying because I mentioned it at the basketball game?
There was a social media post or on basketball, I can't remember.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So let me address that. When you get to be 62, 63, you lose your filter a little bit, right? And when you're used to success and you've been on campus all day and you detect some things you don't really like, it kind of gets under your skin a little bit. So, and we are in the entertainment business. This is entertainment, right? It's coaching, but it's entertainment. I remember Jim Tressel when he went to Ohio State, I think he said something about beating Michigan. I can't remember exactly because that was a long time ago. But I just ramped that up a little bit, I guess. We got 17,000 people in the basketball arena, right? And I got to get them excited. So, the first part was easy. I knew it. But then why stop there, right? And set the bar at 6-6. I mean, our goal, we're going after these two. We want to be the best. It's like that thing I talked about with your kids, right? I mean, when you compete, you want to be the best. You can't have self-imposed limits. Oh, if we go to a bowl, it's a great year. Bullshit. That ain't the goal. The goal is to be the best. And what you do is you commit to the process and do the things you have to do to be the best you can be, and then see where you are at the end, right? You don't bring your kids up. Mary, I want you to be 5th best today. 10th best. No, you want them to be the best.
Coach, since you got hired, there's already been improvements to facilities, there's been changes to the game day, just kind of logistics and things. What are some more things that you want to see happen just kind of behind the scenes?
Well, I think the most important things right now are NIL last year, which, we were able to get to a figure that allowed us to do a lot of things and create opportunities for student athletes. Rev share is going to be a game changer. And so the financial part of it is still extremely important in terms of players being able to monetize name, image, and likeness. We put a new turf down on the indoor. We've done some things in the weight room, which is really big and nice. And there's some other new rug in the, there's things that need done. But we're moving in the right direction. We have enough right now, and it's time for us to do our part.
Curt, what's the biggest key to achieving a successful overhaul and sustaining it in a wide receiver room like you did in Tuscaloosa?
Well, I think we've only got 3 receivers returning. I think we have 7 or 8 receivers that are seniors that are on scholarship. So we've got 3 or 4 commitments, 3 commitments at the high school level, and we're going to have to go in the portal for 3 or 4 more, until we can get that. What you really want as a head coach is you want that senior class, junior class, so you want those to be uniform number-wise. You know what I mean? But it's just not the case anymore in football. So, the quarterback and the receiver go hand in hand. We have a lot to sell there based on production numbers, what we've done with quarterbacks and receivers. So we got to do it this fall, too.
As offenses across the sport have become follow other receiver coaches? Is that like a point of pride for you to see at that position particularly? Do you follow within the business others who have that kind of success, whether it be ability to follow you or Brian Hartline or?
You mean on social media?
No.
Okay.
Follow their successes, like you pay attention.
Not really.
to that
I'm a head coach, and I tend to look at things more big picture when it comes to offense. I'm looking schematically. Who's doing good things throwing the ball? Wow, look at all these shifts and motions in college football this year, and breaking those down. Who's doing a good job in the low red, the high red, third and medium, goal line, short yardage, tricks, deceptives. You know what I'm saying? It's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tapes. I call them tapes still, but you know what it is. Every year.
Curt, curious, going back to your time in Tuscaloosa, your family's close with Coach Saban. I wonder what your thoughts are on his retirement, what the relationship's like with him.
Yeah, the greatest of all time, no doubt about it. Blessed to have had the opportunity to learn from him. What he got done was incredible. I was surprised. I just figured he'd go forever. But can't say enough about what I learned from him.
When you were recruiting the portal or high school players too, what was sort of your message to them on why they should come to Indiana?
It's more of a, we win. We're going to win here. And showing them the facts in black and white, backing it up with numbers, first-year improvement at all places, what we did at JMU, what we've done at receiver, quarterback, D-line, things like that.
You mentioned the receivers. Where does E.J. Williams fit into things? I know it wasn't healthy kind of towards the end of spring, like we did at the start. What are your expectations for him?
Well, got to get him on the field and keep him on the field. That's the biggest thing. The best abilities, availability. You got to stay on the field, and that's been his biggest nemesis. I think he practiced 3 times this spring, but I sure like those 3 practices. Now, let's keep him on the field so we can utilize him.
You said rev share is going to be a game changer. How is it going to change for Indiana? What's it going to change in Indiana?
Well, I don't think we have all the details there yet. We've got an idea. So I'll let sort of that play out with time.
And with the expanded playoffs, does that change any part of your approach?
No.
If you do with revenue sharing go to a larger scholarship number, I think 105 has been reported as the possible sort of target. Does that change the way you think about building a roster, or does it just kind of expand everything, class-wise, balance-wise, just by a few numbers?
Well, I think, to be clear, number one, there's still some questions about some things, but that's a roster limit.
Right.
Not there are no such things as scholarship limits anymore.
Sure.
So the roster's at 105, and if a school chooses to give out 105 scholarships, then there could be some implications in terms of rev share amounts. So there's some things to be decided yet.
The last time we talked to you at the Huber's Winery event, you had said that the quarterback sort of still competition. Are you ready to name a starter going into fall camp, or are you going to wait?
No, I've never seen the value of really naming a starter. Our first year in the Sun Belt, Todd Centeo came from Colorado State, and we trotted him out for the first snap of the first game and never named a starter. He's Sun Belt Player of the Year. And, I feel really good about Curtis Rourke. I think Taven Jackson's improved, but still needs to keep improving in terms of his preparation and processing and, playing quarterback at a high level. I'm talking about the mental part of it and decision making, but he's made significant progress, and we got 2 young guys we like. So I want to promote competition at every position. I'm not necessarily looking to get him beat out because he had a really good spring. He didn't really get to show it in the spring game. Sometimes, it's like the first quarter and a half of a game. You got to have the opportunities to show what you can do. He had a great summer. And, when we went back, we watched all of our spring cut-ups offensively. And the more I watched them, the more impressed I was.
Hey, Coach, a lot of kids have been talking about the video game that came out, NCAA 25, and how excited they are to see themselves and their teammates. Have you heard a lot of that, and do you think that's really good for team camaraderie and all that, to have everyone so excited about something like that?
Well, it probably keeps them in at night. That's about all I know about it. I don't know how you'd access. I guess you don't buy it in a store anymore. You download it or something. I've never played it really, so I don't know. It's probably a good thing.
Is your plan still? You mentioned in the spring not tackling, but you didn't. Is that still kind of?
I haven't really made a final decision on that.
Coach, you guys just finished up really high school focus of recruiting in June, starts back in the spring. How did you feel about how you guys were received out of the recruiting trail and the class? I know you can't talk about specific players, but the class you put together so far.
I think we got the guys that we like the guys, and they're guys we can develop, and some might be further ahead than others, and there's still progress to be made there, and we can improve our tactics a little bit too. But I think it was a step forward.
Have you ever seen a receiver room with more production than what you've got this year? And what's the key to capitalizing on all that experience?
Well, we got to utilize them. And the one good thing is we can absorb an injury or two. But I'm still looking for a couple guys to step up and separate themselves from the rest. That would be a nice thing. And, that's nothing I'm going to say about that.
How do you mentioned kind of having a lot of options to bring here and leaders and good character guys. How do you decide team captains, and is that important choice with the roster?
Yeah, never chosen captains, ever. Put guys out in front of flex, and then when we're done, they say something to the team before practice, and then we practice. And that might be the same 3 guys. It might be 7 guys on a rotation. That's the way I've done it.
What's the reasoning for not choosing captains?
I would never want to choose captains early in the year, and then a guy turns out to be, not what you thought he was going to be, and then you got yourself a problem. So, captains is a nice term that was used a while back, and, to me it's more important to have a lot of really good leaders.
Or what kind of response, as you've traveled the state a little bit, have you gotten to, by now people know what you're about, what you've projected. What kind of response are you getting from alums and from fans in terms of how you try to project the program?
I think good. People are excited. There's probably a certain few out there that don't like me being so outspoken, but so what? I think they're excited. I've been told this is the most excitement around here in a long time. I can't judge it, and I'm happy that there is, but now we got to produce.
I know it only matters to a certain extent until you play games, but you talk about those early days, maybe detecting a mindset or whatever around the program or on campus you didn't love. Do you feel like you are starting to see people raise the bar, whether it's your players, whether it's just talking to fans, alums, whoever, maybe starting to be comfortable raising that bar more toward where you want it to be?
Yeah, I don't think it's, take the players out of it. That's different. Yeah, I think the fan base is excited, right? And that's a great thing. And, now we've got to, make a statement for the rest of college football fans in the state, in Big Ten country, and across the nation.
Curt, you mentioned it up on the podium, your placing in the preseason poll. How do you handle that with players, or do you handle it at all? I mean, what's kind of your feeling on that?
If I mention it, I'll say something similar to what I said today.
How do you view recruiting Ohio?
Border state, a lot of players, important.
Were you surprised when Antoine Randall lined up at receiver when you played him in 2001?
I think I'm on the record on that one already.
Did your offense change while going from the Sun Belt to a Big Ten school again?
Our offense changes every year based on who the quarterback is and what kind of personnel he's surrounded by.
Do you find you talked about how it gets harder to prepare when there's so much turnover, player turnover, coach turnover. Do you find that leads you to, as you said, maybe look at coordinators more? Do you find yourself focusing on your own team more, just when maybe you don't want to get lost chasing film, chasing tape that might not be useful because of that turnover with opponents?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's good film on UCLA's defense. There's good film on Maryland, Charlotte, FIU. Western Illinois has a new defensive coordinator. UCLA's got a new offensive coordinator. But then once the season gets rolling, you got enough tape people